Hey YouTube land, Icons there doing another action figure review, and we're doing a double review, a twofer from the Hammond collection figure line. Now, sorry if my reviews have been kind of sporadic of late. I've been kind of enjoying the nice weather we have because we generally don't get it too often, and on top of that I've been kind of sidetracked with painting stuff because I've been painting, getting into a kick of painting old 90s Necromunda figures or wargaming miniatures. So I've been stripping the paint and painting up some Orlocks, and I will be doing some Goliaths and a few others. I might do a little showcase of them on this channel when I have them all painted, just here so you can see what they look like. I know my kind of miniature review, or not review, but retro miniature kind of videos don't get too much traffic, so I may or may not do it. But for today we are looking at the Scutosaurus, I think that's how you pronounce it, Scutosaurus, and the juvenile, or would you call it a baby Triceratops? I call it more maybe a juvenile Triceratops, if I could speak properly, Triceratops, over a, oh, it's definitely not an adult one. Now, I don't know if this is the second Triceratops they've done in this line. I don't know if they've done an adult one in the Hammond collection. I know they've done several in the kind of the standard line, or the basic Jurassic World, Dominion, Fallen Kingdom, all those. They've done several iterations of Triceratops, and we'll have a look at two that I have. I didn't go out and I didn't buy a ton of them. I only have a couple of the ones that they released. For Scutosaurus, I think he's been very limited on releases. He's not a very mainstream dinosaur unlike Triceratops, so I don't think you'll see too many of them. But I do have another version of him that was released as part of a sub-line within the line. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll have a look at their packaging first. They're essentially, these are kind of the lower end, cheaper price point figures. So these are like the $15 ones. So generally, the ones that tend to be around $15 is the raptors, the human characters, any small dinosaurs are roughly around this size. The juvenile baby T-Rex was in this price point. What else was there? The Dilophosaur, if you can still get them, but they're like gold dust, and I was lucky enough to actually pre-order and get one. At today's market, people are looking for ludicrous money for the Hammond collection Dilophosaurus. So hopefully there will be a reissue. They might reissue it at some point. Considering there's Dilophosaurus in the new movie Rebirth that's coming up, there might be a Rebirth version come out. That might kick the price of the original one down. But so according to these, on the side of the packaging, you can see these are Jurassic World. I do not remember seeing this guy in Jurassic World. He may have been from a deleted scene, or it might be one of the ones in the, oh, what was it, the compound in Fallen Kingdom, when they transport them back to the mainland. He could be one of the ones in the display cases. I do not remember it being showcased in the film, but then again, it's from, according most of the packaging. Now, I have one of the other packaging from the Hammond collection figures. Most of the packaging generally tends to indicate which film or series it's from, which is why this Jurassic World logo is kind of stumping me. As again, I do not remember seeing this thing in Jurassic World. There could have been a mention of it in name, so which is why you have that. So on the back of the box, he showcases other figures. So the Allosaurus is in the bigger price point. And then you have the Triceratops Ghost, which I'm going to try and track down. They do have a couple of Velociraptors, and one of the ones I want to get as well is the Lost World, Jurassic Park Lost World Velociraptor, or the Tiger Raptor as they are known. Packaging is fairly simple. There is a brief write-up on the back. So for the Scutosaurus, it is, with a defining armored body and sturdy build, the Scutosaurus is a strong herbivore ready to embark on any tracking adventure. Now, this thing is a Triassic era creature, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a Jurassic or Cretaceous era creature. I think it predates. It's one of the early dinosaurs. And then you have the Triceratops. The young Triceratops and other smaller dinosaurs are a popular attraction at the Jurassic World petting zoo. Plus, the Triceratops can cut through plants with ease due to a unique jaw and teeth that function like a giant scissors. So, packaging is fairly basic, but we will pause here and we'll have a look at the dinosaurs within. Now, I did say dinosaurs within, but technically one is a dinosaur. The other one, I believe, is a prehistoric. I'm not sure if it's a prehistoric mammal or reptile. Prehistoric reptile I'll go with, because I think it said reptile on the box. But it is quite a nice. They're roughly around the same size, and there is some assembly required when you get these. So I'll just bring in the old tape measure so you can see how big these guys are, well, how long they are. They're not very tall. So for the Scutosaurus, it is roughly around 6 inches in length. On its tippy feet, it is just around, maybe highest point is the ridge here on the back. So that makes it around the 3-inch mark. I'd say maybe just a hair over. The Juvenile Triceratops, the highest point is the crest on the frill. And that's about 3.5. And then I think she, whichever way you want to do it, is around a little bit longer than the Scutosaurus. She's nearly 7 inches. So there is that. As I said, I don't know if they've done an adult version in a Hammond collection. I think there might have been. I think I might have missed out on it, because I have a vague recollection of it being available around the time when they did the Ellie Sattler figure, and I think it wasn't Ian Malcolm, but Ray Arnold figure. I think roughly around when that came out, and I think that was like last year or the year before. So I do have a feeling I have missed out on that. I might have to try and track one down if I can find one that's reasonably cheap, because the Hammond collection tends to go ludicrous in prices depending on rarity of the creature. Again, pointing to the Dilophosaur. The Dilophosaur is one of those ones that tend to be really overpriced on the secondary market. So the things these guys have over their kind of standard counterparts is they are, obviously the deco is a lot more detailed. They have this glass eye thing going on that all the newer ones have. The original first couple of waves of figures didn't have this. They started bringing this, incorporating this in when they did the T-Rex and the Brachiosaur. I think they were the first couple of the Hammond collection stuff to incorporate this glass eye technology. It works for some figures. I don't think it works on all figures. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that on screen with this, but you can see the kind of the light will catch on it. Some of the figures it doesn't seem to work, and on some of my figures where the iris or sorry, the pupil or the iris, the black line part looks really off on some of the ones that I have. So it is hit and miss which way you get these guys. So for point of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get up, or sorry, it's on a ball joint. You don't get really side to side, it's more up and down, but it is on a ball joint of some description. You get up and down, you get a opening mouth, which is nice. Not all the Hammond collection figures have opening mouths. I believe there was one that was released, was it the Troodon? No, the Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus doesn't actually have an opening mouth, which is interesting. It should have a mouth similar to this with the little beak, but it doesn't have an opening one. It has forward. It has a hinge on the leg. It has another, these also swivel. It has hinges on the ankles and on the double ankle, I suppose, or double knee joint, or the knee, the backwards knee. You have the same on the other side. The legs can splay. They're on a kind of a bit of a ball joint, but not much. Not as much as the Scutosaurus when you get to that. There is no ball peg holes on the bottom of the feet. There is a articulation point in the tail, and unlike some of the other dinosaurs, some of them have the wire tail. These ones do not, because they're very small tails. But some of them, like the raptors, have a bendy wire going through the tail. There's no midsection or anything like that, give an extra articulation point. There is on some of the larger guys. I think the Ankylosaur has that on it, because these guys are kind of juvenile, they don't get that just extra point, but the paint apps on this is really nice. You can see the eye hopefully lighting up on this one pretty good on this side, and the horns are painted nicely. I don't have any I don't have really any paint rub or any paint blemishes to talk home about. The only one Hammond collection figure I ever had an issue with, really, with paint, or not paint, with QC issues, was Alpha Raptor, I think it's called, or the male raptor, the one from Jurassic Park 3, the one with the feathered head. When I got it, the tail piece was broken on it where it plugs in the tail. There's no actual connector for you to put the tail in. You just put it in, it would just fall out. So I ended up getting the second one. But onto the Scutosaurus. And the Scutosaurus, again, very similar with the articulation points of the Triceratops. You have, head is on, it's a very tight ball joint on here. But you also have a joint here at the base where the head meets the neck. You have an opening mouth with a quite nice detailed mouth. You see those very fine serrated teeth. You would think they almost look like they're carnivore teeth, but they're not. They're for plants, as it is said. It is a herbivore. You have a hinge on the legs here, up at the kind of where it connects onto the shoulder, what would be the shoulder, and you have a knee joint. Again, rotation. You can see the joints on this one a bit more than you do on the Triceratops. They're a little bit more hidden, but these are just kind of a chunkier leg design. And then you have the rocker ankle and forward and back on the foot. Now the back feet don't have the ankle, but it does have the single jointed knee, and it has that kind of in and out, but it doesn't have the same hinge that's on the front part. So you do have a very small, you don't get great amount on it, but there is a hinge at the knee. And then it has a little stubby wobbly tail. And the little tail is actually a separate part in the box, so just be wary when opening it that it doesn't go flying on you. But it does stand quite nicely, and it looks quite intimidating for something that eats plants, which is kind of cool. It looks like it's quite armored. Now I do have another version of this guy, which is this one. I don't think the mouth opens in this one. Yeah, the mouth doesn't open on this one. It does look like it does because it's actually a separate piece glued on to the bottom, but this guy and these are the same creature. The one thing that's interesting about it is this one was available as part of the classic 93 line, which was the kind of homage to the original Kenner line, because if I remember correctly, there was one of these released in the Kenner line, and this one was packaged, if my memory serves correctly when I got it, and I did a review for it, I believe it came with the retooled Ford Jungle Explorer that had like a missile launcher, or, well, tranquilizer dart launcher thing on it, and he came packed with that. But it is a cool creature. Again, you can see the differences in how the articulation is between the two of these. Very minimal. We just have swivels on the hips, and then you have a ball joint. You get a good range of movement on the head with this one. It's very similar with the designs, except without the opening mouth. So you have a good range of movement on the head on this one, but this one has a bit more articulation in the fact that you can pose the legs in a few different poses, which is quite nice. So we will bring in one other comparison because I have them. We'll bring in Trikey up to the center here. I'm going to bring in the two Triceratopses that I have. Now bear in mind, they're not based on the movie ones. Well, the design is based on a movie Triceratops, so, and I can't remember which one they are. This is one that has the battery still working to a degree. This one is supposed to have a battery on it as well, so when you do the head, it's supposed to be a roar. I think these are roarivores. You can see here the battery isn't exactly holding out in this. It's cutting out. I really should store them without the batteries in them because it makes it easier. So if we bring Triceratopses in, you can see again the way they are designed. They're very simplified in their articulation. They just have swivels at the hips, or the where the shoulders meet the torso, and then depending on which one you have, they have action features. Most of them have a head roll kind of thing, or a head raise option. I think there was one or two that have like a charge thing. The newer one from Rebirth, which I haven't picked up yet, I will probably get, has a kind of a stomp where it's kind of cool. It goes up like that and stomps down with its feet. It's kind of a cool action gimmick. But for these guys, this is how this looks together with the baby trike or the juvenile trike. It's quite a nice setup. So we'll move trikes out of the way, and we will bring the old figures in again, and we're going to bring in a couple of human scale figures so you can see how they look. Now, I don't have any. I do have Lex from the Escape 2-pack, so I can throw her onto the back of the trike like the kid was in Jurassic World. Obviously, they didn't have this scene in the first Jurassic Park, but you know, it's your own imagination. You can do what you want. We're bringing good old Ian Malcolm. Now, this is Hammond collection Ian Malcolm, whereas Lex isn't part of the Hammond collection. She's one of the basic Legacy collection figures, but they are designed to kind of coexist with each other. From a Star Trek point of view, we'll bring in Hiya Collectibles Chekhov. Again, he's the only one of those figures I have. Bring in a Batman from one of the Spin Master figure line. Let's see if we can get him to stand, which would be nice. Bring in an old Stormtrooper from the Vintage collection. In fact, I believe this is one of the comic 2-pack from predates the Vintage collection. I'll just move Chekhov to the side so you can see the sizing. In fact, we just zoom out a touch. You might be able to bring in some more figures. Bring in one of the Hiya Toys maintenance crew figures, who are on the taller side, I believe. And anything else that I can bring in that should be in scale. We have 25th anniversary Cobra Commander here with his Crowley faceplate. Pop him in behind. Just move Ian off to the side. And then for a final comparison, bring in one of these F5 snap fit figure kits from the Arkham Asylum video games. They're like based on Batman. So we just move other Batman off here. Hopefully he's not too out of the screen. Turn it to a touch. And we can see all those figures together with the trike. So overall, it's not a bad figure, or they are not bad figures. If you're a fan of dinosaurs in general, the Hammond collection they're a bit on the more pricey side, but they are the more detailed, highly detailed, and kind of the more sought after style of figure. It is up to yourself which ones you want to go with. But I do recommend most of the Hammond collection stuff across the board. They haven't been too hit or miss. Now, there is a couple that I haven't picked up and I really want to get them. So the Giganotosaurus or Gigantosaurus, whichever way you like to pronounce it. I always thought it was pronounced Gigantosaurus, but it's Giganotosaurus. That one is pretty cool looking. And the Therizinosaurus from Dominion, also really cool looking. I haven't picked those up. And the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3, which is in Target now at the moment at the time of this recording. I do think it looks really cool, and I really want to pick one of those up as well if I can get one. So I am going to try my best to try and pick up some of those other Hammond collection stuff that's harder to get over here. As I said, it's interesting that the Hammond collection figures you can get in Europe in Smiths, but over here in Ireland, where Smiths originated, because they were originally an Irish store, toy store, or Irish brand store, you can't get them, which is kind of weird. They don't seem to have them supplied, and there's no way of getting them from asking them for them to ship from the German store to bring them over to the Irish store. I don't know why. So I got these two on Big Bad Toy Store. Again, I've been picking them up sporadically from different places, so I will throw a link to Big Bad Toy Store. They do tend to have a lot of them in stock, but a lot of the kind of really good ones are sold out. One of the other ones that I never picked up, and I'm kicking myself for not getting it, and again, it's one of those ones that have gone really expensive at the time. It was on the same price point of $14.99. It's the Gallimimus. Again, Gallimimus is gone crazy expensive because it's one of the first wave of figures that they did. So I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you enjoyed me waffling on and listening to how I mispronounce the names of some of the dinosaurs and found it entertaining. If you did, please hit a like and subscribe, and please hit the share button, or share it with friends and family and people who you think might enjoy watching me waffle on about dinosaurs. And as always, I hope you have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your day or evening, whichever the case may be, and thanks for watching. Thank you.